Hi everyone. So in today's lecture we will discuss respiratory distress in newborns. First of all, we will define what is respiratory distress in newborns, and then we will discuss various features of respiratory distress. And in later part of the lecture we will talk about various scoring systems related to the assessment of severity of respiratory distress in preterm and term infants. For example, we will talk about Silverman-Anderson scoring system related to the respiratory distress severity assessment in preterm infants, and there we will also talk about our mega mnemonic by the name of Silver Gives No Luxury. And then we will also talk about Downey's scoring related to the respiratory distress severity of term infants. Let's start. Here you can appreciate a neonate, and this neonate is being provided oxygen support in view of respiratory distress. Let's now define what is respiratory distress in newborns. Here the very first parameter you can appreciate, it is the respiratory rate. So respiratory rate in excess of 60 breaths per minute is considered as tachypnea in newborn, and this can be a sign of respiratory distress. For better understanding of respiratory distress in newborns, let's first understand what are the normal vitals in case of newborns, and let's also compare it with that of normal vitals in adults. Now we will discuss our first mnemonic here itself. Try to understand. In case of adults, you guys already know the respiratory rate ranges between 10 to 20 breaths per minute. What about normal heart rate range? Heart rate normally ranges between 60 to 90 beats per minute. Now you guys are left with the blood pressure. So what is normal blood pressure in adults? What is your blood pressure? I hope it is 120 by 80 millimeters of mercury. Now, as a mnemonic, just try to remember that vitals of a newborn in terms of heart rate and respiratory rate, these two parameters are almost double of that of adult, whereas blood pressure is exactly half. Try to understand. In newborns, heart rate and respiratory rate is almost double. Here respiratory rate lies in the range of 40 to 60 breaths per minute. And what about the heart rate? Exactly double, 120 to 180 beats per minute. Now you guys are left with the blood pressure. Exactly half. Blood pressure of a newborn is in the range of 60 by 40 millimeters of mercury. Now let's understand respiratory distress of newborn. So the first most important criteria is the respiratory rate in excess of 60 breaths per minute. Then you have retractions that is related to chest indrawing, and then you can appreciate the grunting, that is the expiratory sound. Okay, we will discuss. And plus minus, let's also write down cyanosis. So as per definition of respiratory distress in newborn, any two of these should be present. For example, a patient if presents with respiratory rate of 70 breaths per minute along with chest retractions, now you have two parameters positive. This will qualify as a case of respiratory distress in newborn. Okay. Now try to understand one more thing. Over a period of time, we will assess the severity of this respiratory distress. And in term neonates, we will apply a scoring system by the name of Downey's scoring system. And in Downey's scoring system, we will deploy these parameters along with one more parameter. And that parameter will be air entry. So I am just sensitizing you guys about the Downey's scoring system for the assessment of severity of respiratory distress in term infants. Right. Now try to understand. Here you can appreciate few more clinical features related to respiratory distress in newborn. Okay. Here you can appreciate nasal flaring. Right. The contraction of Eli nasal. Try to understand. The most important parameter is your tachypnea, that is respiratory rate in excess of 60 breaths per minute. More the respiratory rate, more will be the severity of respiratory distress. You can appreciate grunting, that is expiration against partially closed glottis. We will discuss. And here you can appreciate nasal flaring. Then you have chest retractions or indrawing. Over period of time, we will also discuss upper chest retractions, lower chest retractions, along with xiphoid retractions. And here you can appreciate the cyanosis, that is the bluish discoloration of skin and mucous membranes. So you can summarize, these are important clinical features related to respiratory distress in newborn, and these clinical features will be part of various scoring systems as well for the assessment of severity of respiratory distress. Now let's discuss grunting in short. See, try to understand, this is a protective phenomena. While grunting, patient tries to breathe out against partially closed glottis. What will it do? It will increase the pressure inside the lung even after the end of expiration, and this particular thing is known as positive end expiratory pressure, and this will not allow your alveoli to collapse. This will also increase the functional residual capacity, resulting into more exchange of gases. Okay, so try to understand. Here baby tries to breathe out against partially closed glottis, and this is a protective mechanism we will discuss. Here you can appreciate normal nostrils, and here you can appreciate flared nostrils. That is, here you can appreciate activity of ali nasi muscles, okay, in view of increasing the lumen to allow more and more air inside while patient is in respiratory distress. Here you can appreciate cyanosis, that is bluish discoloration of skin and mucous membranes. Whenever deoxygenated blood increases, I mean whenever oxygenation is compromised, deoxygenated blood increases, and if deoxygenated hemoglobin increases more than 5%, then it can produce bluish discoloration or skin and mucous membrane, and that particular thing is known as cyanosis, and this is again sign of respiratory distress. Here you can appreciate a normal newborn, but here you can appreciate intercostal retractions, form of chest retractions, and here you can appreciate subcostal retractions. You guys might also be seeing the video played over here regarding various forms of respiratory distress. Now let's proceed. Here you can appreciate Silverman Anderson scoring for the assessment of severity of respiratory distress in preterm infants. So this scoring is applicable for premature, that is preterm infants. And you can appreciate there are five components. What are these five components? You have nasal flaring, you have upper chest retraction, you have lower chest retraction, you have xiphoid retractions, and last but not the least, you have grunting. Okay, so maximum score is 10, minimum score is 0. Minimum score means there is no respiratory distress, and maximum score of course means severe respiratory distress. We will discuss. So there are five parameters. How to memorize these five parameters? Sometimes it is asked in exam. See, sometimes it becomes very cumbersome task to memorize each and everything without any logic, okay, and therefore mnemonics make your life easy. So here we have our mega mnemonic, and this mega mnemonic is silver gives no luxury. You are advised to write luxury in this particular way to understand this particular mnemonic, and an ideal mnemonic should also contain the question, okay, and you guys understand the reason behind that. So here you have silver related to your Silverman Anderson scoring, and then you have gives is equivalent to grunting, and no is equivalent to nasal flaring. Now you guys are left with three more letters, right? I have denoted lux as capital. So here you can appreciate L stands for what? Lower chest retractions. U stands for upper chest retractions. Now you are left with X. X stands for xiphoid retractions. So this is a very productive mnemonic. This will help you memorize various components of the Silverman Anderson score. Now try to understand. Here you can appreciate those five parameters which are used in Silverman Anderson scoring. Okay. First you can appreciate upper chest retractions, then you can appreciate lower chest retractions, and then xiphoid retractions. So these three are retractions. Now you are left with nasal flaring and the grunting part. Let's understand this particular scoring system, right? Let's start with upper chest retractions. Now let's understand a basic thing. While inspiration, there is simultaneous chest rise, that is upper chest rise, as well as rise of abdomen. This is normal. So when things will be normal, you will give a score of 0. When things will be slightly compromised, you will give a score of 1. And when things will be worse, you will need to give a score of 2. Try to understand. Therefore, for any component, minimum score will be 0 and maximum score will be 2. The more respiratory distress patient will be having, more score will be given. Try to understand. Here you can appreciate a baby, and this is the axilla, right? Part of chest above axilla is your upper chest, and below axilla is the lower chest. Try to understand. See, this is quite tricky. This is upper chest, okay, and this is your lower chest. Try to understand. This is your lower chest. So you have to understand upper chest retractions and lower chest retractions, okay. So in normal scenarios, during inspiration, there is chest rise and abdomen rise simultaneously. So this is normal. In first case, you are giving the score of 0 to upper chest retractions because there is no retraction. Okay, both are moving forward, both are rising, chest as well as abdomen. Whereas in second case, you are giving a score of 1. Here you can appreciate your chest is trying to retract back, and therefore chest rise lags behind the rise of the abdomen. Now you need to give the score of 1. What is the worst scenario? Here you can appreciate that chest is retracting back, chest is not rising, abdomen is just rising. So here you can appreciate seesaw phenomena, okay, and this is paradoxical to normal inspiratory movement of chest. So in case of upper chest retractions, you can very easily appreciate a score 0 when everything is normal, chest is rising and simultaneously abdomen is also rising. Whereas in case of score 1, chest is lagging behind. Whereas in score 2, chest is retracting back, abdomen is still rising. So there is seesaw movement, and this is given score 2. Now what about lower chest retractions? If there is no lower chest retraction, it is given a score of 0, that is normal. If there is just visible lower chest retraction, give a score 1. If there is marked lower chest retraction, you have to give a score of 2. So in other retractions, you have none, just visible and marked, okay, be it xiphoid retractions. Now let's talk about nasal flaring. No nasal flaring, score 0. Just visible, score 1. Marked, score 2. Too simple to understand. Now you guys are left with expiratory grunt, that is grunting. No grunting, score 0. Grunting audible with help of stethoscope, then you need to give the score 1. And if it is audible even by naked ear, that is even without stethoscope, then you have to give the score of 2. So maximum score can be 10, minimum score is your 0. Try to understand. Here you have Silverman Anderson scoring, and here you can appreciate mild, moderate, and severe, right? 0 to 3 is mild, and then 4 to 6 is moderate. Anything more than 6, that is 7 to 10, indicates of severe respiratory distress. Okay. Now let's also talk about Downey's scoring, and this is applicable for term infants. And in the starting of the lecture itself, I mentioned about all 5 parameters of this Downey scoring. See, we started defining respiratory distress, and when we were defining respiratory distress, we talked about respiratory rate, and we talked about grunting, we talked about cyanosis, and what else? We talked about chest retractions. And at that moment only, I told you guys that you need to remember one more parameter, and that parameter is your air entry. You need to auscultate the chest. In case of severe respiratory distress, air entry might be compromised. So let's understand the scoring system in Downey's score as well. Try to understand. Here you can appreciate the cyanosis. Cyanosis, if it is absent, score 0. If cyanosis is present at room air, how much oxygen is present in room air? That is 21%. I hope you guys know this particular fact. And what about if cyanosis is still persists? Even after providing 40% of FiO2, that is 40% of fraction of inhaled oxygen, then you need to give the score of 2. right? That is, it is the worst scenario. Then you can appreciate the retractions. Here we have not classified into xiphoid, upper chest, lower chest. Any chest retraction will be considered significant. If no retraction, then of course score 0. Mild, you have to give score 1. Severe, you have to give score 2. Now you are left with grunting. What is grunting? You guys have already understood. No grunting, none. If it is audible with help of a stethoscope, we have already discussed, it will be given score 1. Without a stethoscope, naked ear, score 2. It means that there is severe grunting. And now the new parameter over here is the air entry. If your lungs are clear and air entry is normal, of course you have to give the score 0. If it is decreased, score of 1. If it is barely audible, score of 2. Now what about the respiratory rate? We started with respiratory rate and we are ending this lecture with respiratory rate. And we did discuss that anything above 60 will be considered tachypnea. And what about if respiratory rate further increases? It means that the distress has further increased. Over a period of time, baby might experience fatigue and baby might stop breathing at all. That particular thing is worst scenario. That is known as apnea. So if breathing rate is under 60, it is normal. If baby is breathing at the rate of 60 to 80, you can give a score of 1. And if the respiratory rate has risen above 80 or baby has stopped breathing, that is apnea, this is the worst scenario, then you have to give the score 2. Again, if cumulative score comes out to be 0 to 3, it is mild respiratory distress because we are dealing with Downey's scoring. Therefore, it is mild respiratory distress in term infant. If it is 4 to 6, it is moderate. And of course, anything more than 6, that is 7 to 10, will be classified as severe respiratory distress of newborn. And here, term newborn. Okay. Now let's talk about various causes of respiratory distress in newborn. Okay. See, the most important over here is transient tachypnea of newborn, mainly seen in term infants. Okay, this is abbreviated as TTN. What else? Then you can appreciate hyaline membrane disease, also known as respiratory distress syndrome of newborn. And here you can appreciate meconium aspiration syndrome. When baby passes first stool, that is meconium, in utero itself and then aspirates it. This is your meconium aspiration syndrome. And there can be early onset or late onset sepsis, which might result into pneumonia. And one more condition we are going to discuss in upcoming lectures, and that is your CDH, that is congenital diaphragmatic hernia. It is associated with herniation of abdominal contents into the chest, okay, resulting into pulmonary hypoplasia as well as pulmonary hypertension, resulting into very severe respiratory distress, which might need surgical correction. So in the very next lecture, we are going to talk about these conditions which can cause respiratory distress in newborn. Okay, so that's all for today. Bye bye, take care.